On this episode of The Focus, Paulette Brace talks to us about the gallery show she has been curating of the Pease Public Library. We also cover Campton's 250th anniversary, where they had historical demonstrations and other activities. Lastly, we were given a tour of the Mountain Bike Trail Network in Plymouth by the local Mountain Bike Association with Jay Harrington.
The Young Ladies Library Association, which is the historically named sort of help group and community group that is organized through Pease Public Library, has long done programs for Pease, for extraordinary programs for the community as a community outreach. And a few years ago, these rails were put in that support a system where we can hang artwork without messing up walls and with the expectation that we would have artwork. It was my job to organize this particular show. The show is about birds. We became interested in that in the fall when lots of people were talking about migration. So we had a series of programs around it. The artwork is done by mostly community artists. Kathy Smith, who's done these beautiful pieces, was a former community member. She now lives in Maine, but I remembered her work and asked her to come. And mostly the pieces are here by invitation. My goal is just to serve the community better and to have a place of interest for the community. And we have a big group of artists here. And so it makes sense to me to give them both a place to show and a place that the community can enjoy their work. Also, it's just fun for me. I'm someone who really kind of gets a kick out of organizing things, and once I personally began doing some artwork, I realized the potential for sharing that with the community. You know, I like to laugh. I have a sense of humor, and I decided that one way for people to enjoy it was to do a few little antics. So we had some door prizes. As I was told, not many people have been to an opening where there are door prizes, but we had things like seed candy, bird seed for humans. We had a hat that made an owl when you put it on, and one of our presenters was here, and she was such a good sport. She wore it the rest of the opening. We had some sheets with pelicans on them, I mean with flamingos on them, and we had about 20 small, silly bird prizes. People just had a good time. We had about 60 people, and they left smiling, and boy, that to me is my biggest gift.
So the talks, you have the artists, and they'll give a talk on their artwork.
Well, today that's what we're doing. The artists that want to talk to the art community, the community at large, whomever, do like a traditional artist talk, like why do you do this, what did you do it with, that sort of thing. The other programs that we had, though, were really about birds. They weren't about the artwork. The artwork just complemented it. And we had a program on our neighbors, the birds that were in the area, a program on traveling to see birds, a program on a specific bird, ospreys, and then tonight we're back to the artwork.
So it's all themed, and it's not always going to be about birds.
No, it'll be another theme. Our next
different,
one, our next one will be Becky Fields, and her interest is in refugees, and she's a very talented photographer. She's written a book on refugees in New Hampshire, and she will be here to sign her books, to talk about her artwork, her photography that is absolutely beautiful, and about the plight the refugees are in. And she'll be here in November. So we're really happy to welcome her. We're trying to look for diverse topics that people in the community are actually interested in. So what we really want to know from the patrons here is, what do you want to know? What can we bring in for you? What extra special thing would add to your layer of interest and understanding?
I'm going to read the first two paragraphs that are short, it's not long, of the charter. And then Mr. Lockenberg's going to come up and do the proclamation. So it's the Providence of New Hampshire, George III, by the grace of God, of Great Britain, France, Ireland, King. January 5, 1767 was the grant date. Defender of the faith, to all persons whom these presents shall come, greetings. Know ye that we of our social grace, certain knowledge, and mere motion for the due encouragement for settling a new plantation within our province, by and with the advice of our truly and well-beloved Benning Wentworth, Esquire, our Governor and Commander-in-Chief of our said province of New Hampshire in New England, and of our council of the said province, have upon the conditions and preservations herein after made, given, and granted by these presents of us, our heirs and successors, do give and grant in equal shares unto our living subjects, inhabitants of the province of New Hampshire, and our other governments, into their heirs and assigns forever, those whose names are entered in this grant, to be divided to and amongst them into 70 equal shares, all of that tract or parcel of land situated, lying, and being within our said province of New Hampshire, containing by measurement 25,000 acres, which tract is to contain something more than 6 miles square and no more, out of which an allowance is to be made for highways and then unimprovable lands by rocks, ponds, mountains, and rivers, 1,040 acres free according to a plan and survey thereof made by our said governor's order and returned to the secretary's office and hereunto annexed, budded and bounded via.
We dedicate our American Liberty Elm Tree, planted by local organizations and individuals in cooperation with the Elm Research Institute in Keene, and originally dedicated a little over 7 years ago on August 14, 2010. Please take the time to review the donor names of all the wonderful groups and talented individuals who brought this project to fruition. They're engraved on one of the large bronze plaques mounted within the fence. You'll also learn why this is called the Liberty Elm, symbolizing the towering specimen in Boston, so revered for many years as the rallying place for the Sons of Liberty and our nation's strive for independence from Britain's rule. So influential was the Liberty Tree that in August 1775 the British ordered it cut down, 130 years after it was planted.
Horses for a living, which means I manage feet, whether they're barefoot or trimmed. It doesn't matter. We put shoes on them. You look here, and there we're building the draft shoe right now. All the shoes we put on are handmade shoes. You also have the option as a horse to buy shoes from the store, regular stuff like that. But I just choose to make them. I prefer how it turns out, and they're hard to get.
sampler rocker with me. This shows both of the kinds of caning that I can do. This is the typical hexagon pattern, and this is the star pattern. I don't know if you can see this on the upper. There's little stars every so often in the pattern. And that's how that works. And just in case people aren't really into caning, I brought my braided rugs with me. And this is, how you look on these here. Just make a braid and then sew it all together, and eventually you get a rug out of it. I usually try to do one every winter.
So this is the new book from Campton, just came out this past summer, and it's one of these Roadside America books with all the captions and whatnot. So proud of that book, for sure. I had nothing to do with it, but there were like 7 people worked on it, at least. They took 2 years, but it's a really neat book. And then all the swag. Dee Dee's been secretary at school.
So you just kind of put them in and then...
Yeah, so you put them in and you get the coals and the rocks, like the hot rocks. Those rocks will glow in orange. And you just kind of bury them all up in there and cover it up with dirt, and they cook in the ground overnight. So there's one more pot right there, and we'll dig it out and use the hook because it gets pretty hot. You just pull it right out.
Mm.
Yeah, I was wondering what the hook was for.
Yeah, discipline. I'm also the computer teacher at Campton Elementary, but no, we don't put that on film about discipline in the hook. No, it's the hook just. Actually, this is handier when you're putting the beans in. This is Junior Joyce. Hi. Hello. And he got the fire going yesterday at 2, and then I took over. But you hook it when you're putting the beans down. Those coals are hot, like super hot. So you lower it down like that, and you have to get a nice flat surface on it. So this is Junior's little invention, and it is a lifesaver. Keeps you from
against the hotness. The
yeah,
heat.
oh, it gets hot. It's super hot.
The heat.
Those coals are
Get probably 30, 40 rocks in there.
Wow.
You get the rocks as hot as you can get them.
I guess some of the beans burned.
Did they?
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty hot.
That's never happened before. I think the Stones did it. They worked really good. Incoherent. So we start the fire, dig a hole. Fire goes for about 5 hours. You get a bunch of coals. The beans are prepared ahead of time in a cast iron pot. And when you have enough coals and the flames are down, you bury the pots in the coals, get them around it, and then we put about 2 feet of dirt on it, and you can still see it steaming, and it cooks overnight. So it went from, well, I think we finished at 7 p.m. last night, and we just pulled them out. I'd like to actually get a couple more hours out of it, but this works. So 3 pots of beans in there.
My name is Jay Harrington. I am the Vice President of Pemi Valley NEMBA, which is the local chapter of the New England Mountain Bike Association. We're a trail and mountain bike advocacy group. We encompass all of New England, but our chapter specifically focuses on Plymouth, Campton, Waterville Valley, Thornton, and Rumney, as well as Ashland and a couple other surrounding towns. Our group is comprised of about 60 members and local businesses. We currently have a few sites in town and the town of Plymouth that we're working on, specifically Fox Park, the pump track that's located down by the Plymouth Skate Park, as well as the gyroscope trails located behind Hanaway Arena. Most of this has happened in the past 3 to 3.5 years. It's taken a lot of volunteer effort, but we're making some serious strides. Pemi Valley NEMBA, we got started in the spring of 2014 with a small group of riders just trying to give us a legitimate group to work with local landowners and local government and the federal government in getting trails approved so that we could go out and legally maintain and have better riding opportunities in the area as well as recreation opportunities. Right now we have approximately a dozen trails in the town of Plymouth that are Pemi Valley NEMBA designed, maintained, and sponsored, split between beginner trails, skill building area, and technical to advanced single track as well. Our first project was Fox Park. We started with the Stairway Trail, which is located at the top of the network. It's a long bench cut trail with a long wooden bridge that spans a lower wet section in it. That was our first section that we built. It then expanded further down in so that we could have one long continuous built bench cut trail and have improved and realigned several other trails that were existing in the network, as well as built a few other new lines down through the park so that it offers some variability. We started out up on Stairway with a nice shot going across the long wooden bridge. That was one of our earlier projects. That was built, I think, in the spring of 2015. Either that or it was the fall of 2014. We then continued down part of Skidder, which is located on the boundary of our network. It's a steeper, more technical trail. We then crossed and went down the lower section of Stairway, which is fun. It's got a couple of berms in it, a couple of nice little jumps, and as well as a fast, flowy straightaway down to another bridge, and then that dumps you out towards the bottom kiosk area of Fox Park in the parking lot. Well, this is the Plymouth Pump Track. It's located down at the graffiti park next to the Plymouth Skate Park. Pump tracks serve several purposes. They're a skill building area for everyone from beginners to advanced riders. It teaches you to not only rely on pedaling while you're riding, but also to pump the bike to build up speed, save energy. And it's also just fun to learn to hit smaller controlled jumps. It's got some nice bermed corners, teaches you to lean, get a little more comfortable with the riding techniques. And it's just a great place to come burn off some energy. You know, as opposed to just riding typical wood single track. It's a little something different to offer the area. Kind of a dirt skate park, if you will. Pemmy Valley Number has a lot of, I'll say a lot of irons in the fire at this point. We focus beyond just the Plymouth area. The past few years, most of our trail building has taken place in Plymouth. We are currently working with the National Forest Service at a large project located in the Smarts Brook area of Thornton and also along Sandwich Notch Road. We've worked continuously on some stuff with Squam Lakes Association, as well as the conservation commissions in Holderness and other local and private landowners.